Hi everyone and welcome to this week's arranging video where I'm talking you through how to arrange this week's bunch. It's got an array of fabulous colours, and then what to do with last week's bunch and how to trim it down into this, the Freddy's Flowers Optic vase, which is just a fraction shorter and flares the bunch out rather nicely. Make sure to fill your vase about a third full of water. I think I put it a bit high there, a little bit lower. Make sure there's no detritus in it, and make sure you put in your flower food, swill it around, and then make sure we have no leaves below the waterline. So there was one on there, but you can just strip any off. We've done most of it for you, but there will be a few others. And then make sure you have some really clean, sharp floral scissors or secateurs. You can find both of these on our shop. My favourite are the floral scissors for sort of delicate trimming. Secateurs are slightly more hardy, woody stems. So for this delicate flower arranging, floral scissors. Right, now onto the arranging. So we're going to start with these beautiful Balthazar blooms arranged evenly around the edge. What we want to be doing is working with our shorter flowers around the edge, working into the middle. So we've got our Balthazar blooms there, and then our alstroemeria is going to sit at the same height. And we're creating this lovely structure in the middle, what I call the TP or stem grid. It's a fundamental of flower arranging, creates a structure to build from. So we're doing that with alstroemeria, and then also with these eryngium thistle, they're adding to the stem grid, and they're all sitting around the outside as well. And we've now got a nice balance of sort of nice focal flowers. Alstroemeria, which is sort of more of a, it's got lots of heads and will just provide a nice bit of colour, and then a bit of a textural flower with the eryngium. And then we like our solidago now, using the stem grid to fill up the middle a bit, so we can pop that in a little more centrally, and you'll see it will stand upright quite neatly now, very easy. And then with the Brindisi lilies, we can do exactly the same, perpendicular to the solidago. That's going to slot in rather perfectly there, like that, and they will burst open, filling up the middle with colour. And then the lovely alliums, you can just dot those throughout. Have I missed? Nope. And evenly throughout ideally, but they just add a sort of nice antennary look in the middle. And they'll grow and they'll grow and they'll start looking very fun after a few days. Right, so there we go with this beautiful bunch, and after a few days it'll start to open and look even more glorious and spectacular as your lilies open, your alstroemeria will open, your solidago will, your alliums will grow. It'll take on a whole new character and look really glorious. So there we go, this week's bunch completed, and last week's bunch, which is this rather lovely one. It's now a week old, everything's still roughly going. Delphiniums are almost looking past their best, but not quite. I'm going to trim it down into this and a trio of bud vases. So I'm now going to take the stems out of this vase and lay them out on the table. Super, so the stems for the optic vase I'm going to use are my roses, my lilies, my delphiniums or lisianthus if you had that last week, and my alstroemeria, and that's what's going to go in here. So I now want to cut off roughly half of each stem, ready for this. Little less than half. Super. So now to arrange, you can either follow the arranging guide from last week or carry on watching now. So I'm going to start with the roses, and we're going to again have the focal flowers arranged rather nicely around the edge, like so. And then we're going to have these big lilies that are just going to face opposite each other and look rather marvellous. Just kind of, they'll stand a little bit upright because that's what the vase does. So they're looking rather good, like that. Keep the roses a bit evenly around the edge. Then I want to put the delphiniums kind of evenly throughout the middle, like so, and you can sort of move the lilies delicately around a bit, and just have these tucked neatly where you can. There we go. It's looking rather pretty. And then what I might try and do actually is use a little bit of this Eucalyptus populus and just tuck some of that over the edge. Again, take off some lower leaves, like so. And then you can just tuck that quite neatly over the edge. And that looks rather pretty. And maybe one more bit of that as well. Those leaves. Do the same there. Great. So that's my optic vase looking very beautiful. And then I've actually decided to save the alstroemeria along with my Sweet Williams for here. So I'm just going to trim off the Sweet Williams, trim them down to, you know, much shorter actually for this. So you can go a third the other way, so that, third there. Keep these, make sure you keep them. And then we're just going to pop them in there. Another one there. Make sure you keep that. I'm going to snip even a little bit more off the bottom, like that. Very pretty. Wow, that's pretty. Another little bit there. There, and then the alstroemeria will sit beautifully in two of them, like so. Just glorious. And then is there one more little bit, like if you've got a bit more eucalyptus, you just take this, you can kind of probably rip it off, to be honest, and tuck it in there. Rip a bit off. Snip it. Perfect. Is there anything else clever I can do? No, I think that's all looking pretty clever. So here we've got now 3 lovely bud vases to go on your table. Last week's arrangement trimmed down into my optic vase. This week's arrangement looking pretty magnificent here. Great. Give it a go and have some fun. It's very enjoyable and soothing. I've enjoyed that. I hope you do too. See you next time.